Hello, I'm Dorene Decibus from It Begins with Ink and Paper, and welcome to Funfold Friday. I am so glad you're able to join me tonight. In the New England where I live, it's gray and overcast, and we're supposed to get rain tonight, so I hope it is much more pleasant where you are. So on your screen right now is something that I was very excited to get in the mail yesterday, and it is the Stampin' Up! New mini catalog for September through December of 2023. And I am very excited because demonstrators were able to place their pre-order this week, and mine is actually arriving sometime this evening. So you can be the first to know I'm going to do an unboxing video sometime tomorrow. I will post at least a half hour before I start the video so that if you want to join me, you can. It will most likely be in the morning, probably before noon, so that you can start off your day seeing some new product. So I can only right now show you the front of the catalog if I'm complying to Stampin' Up's wishes, and so this is all I can show you tonight, but you can certainly see some new product right here on the cover. And tomorrow I will be able to show you everything that I placed in my first pre-order. I will place one a little later this month as well, and we'll have another unboxing video then. So if you're on my mailing list, you will be receiving a new catalog very, very soon. So tonight's fold was inspired by a card that I made for Christmas many years ago, before I even did Funfold Friday. And it might not look like a fun fold, but this is actually what I call a double card. So we have the front of our card right here. This is an old designer series paper and some copper foil paper, and I stamped my image. And when you open it up, you see the front of another card, and this one has a greeting, and when I open this up, you have more stamping and another greeting. So I call this a double card. Tonight's card, I am actually going to be using a set that I've had for a really long time, Quiet Meadow, and I've had it for 2 years. And when I opened this set this evening, or earlier today, I found that I'd never even used it, hadn't even been mounted yet. So I'm going to be sharing with you the Quiet Meadow set. The Quiet Meadow set has some coordinating dies, which are right here. I'm going to be using the label die and this die as well. You can still purchase these dies. They just do not come in a bundle any longer. The bundles are only while the catalog it comes from is current. And I'm also using the dies from Color and Contour. I'm not using any of the stamps, but these are the dies that come along with this set. And I'm using these second smallest scallop die. So those are the products I'm going to be using tonight, and this is the card we're going to be making. So I am using my favorite new color that's returned, and it is Misty Moonlight, and I am using the crosshatch embossing folder that comes from the online basic embossing folders package. So it's 3 embossing folders that you get together, and the only place you can purchase it is in the online exclusives. And when you open this up, we have the front of the second card, and then when you open that up, we have the inside of that second card. So let's get started so that you can see what you are going to need for materials. So let me just get my list up to help me. So you are going to need a piece of Misty Moonlight cardstock that measures 8.5 by 5.5. You're going to need a piece of basic white. I'm not using the thick basic white because we have regular cardstock that's going to encase this. So this is just regular basic white cardstock that measures 5.25 by 8. And then this piece I've already embossed, but you're going to see where I'm going to get it. This is not something extra you have to cut. You're also going to need, and this is just a scrap piece from when I cut my basic white cardstock, but you're going to actually need a piece that is 5 1/4 by 1/2 inch. I'll be trimming this. You're going to need some scraps to cut the dies. I've cut some butterflies too. I might use them in tonight's card. You're going to need a scrap to cut this particular label die as well. You're going to need 2 pieces of Misty Moonlight that measure 3 by 4 1/4 to cut these 2 scalloped frames. And then finally, you're going to need 2 pieces of basic white that measure 3 3/8 by 2 that will be going on the inside of the card. Okay, so let's talk about what we need to do to make this card tonight. So the first thing I'm going to do is pull out my paper cutter. And I am going to use my paper cutter to score tonight because I also need to do some cutting on my first piece of cardstock. So I'm going to start by scoring this at 4 1/4 inches. So I'm going to make sure my cutting blade is way at the top and pull up my scoring blade, which is the gray one. I'm just going to run that across a few times. And then I'm going to also score this at 2 1/8. All right. So, actually, I didn't need to score it at 2 1/8. I was going to cut it at 2 1/8. I apologize for that. It's the same measurement, so it's okay. All right, so let me set that aside. This piece here is what I'm going to use on my inside panel. So I'm going to keep it at 2 1/8 inches. Actually, no, I'm going to bring it down to 2 inches. Let's bring that to 2 inches. And then I am going to trim this to 5 1/4 inches. And that's going to give us that panel that I showed you earlier that we're going to be embossing. I think I brought it down to, I brought it down to actually, because I'm going to be adding something, I brought it down to 1 7/8. So let me just get that cut correctly. Okay, let me put that aside and this aside. And then on my piece of white cardstock, I'm going to need to score this at 4 inches. So again, put my cutting blade up and just score, put that aside, and we can get started putting this all together. So first of all, I'm going to fold this piece of basic white cardstock. I'm going to really crease it well with my bone folder because I want this to sit as flat as I can get it. And this piece I am also going to crease with my bone folder, and I'm going to go over it several times because I want it really, really flat. And the first thing that I'm going to do is I'm going to actually add some adhesive using my Stampin' seal onto the back of this, and I'm going to place this inside. I'm going to center it right on the inside of this cardstock and just press down really well. I want that crease really nicely creased so it's going to fit on this. Now, as I said, I embossed this with crosshatch embossing folder, and I am going to take this piece of basic white cardstock and I am going to attach it to just form a little border. And so I'm going to actually use my mono glue. I put the mono glue doesn't come in a container that looks like this. It comes in a container that looks like this. And I put it in a container that looks like this that I get from Amazon so that I can make this really thin border. I didn't want to put a huge piece of basic white cardstock on this. I just wanted a little tiny border just to add some of that white. And I didn't want a huge piece of cardstock behind it. So I'm going to take my paper snips and just trim off. Like I said, this is just a scrap piece of paper that is when I cut my basic white, it's left over. So now I have this white border that it's going to look, really nice when I put it on the front of my card, so that it's not just all Misty Moonlight on Misty Moonlight. Got just that little bit of color that we can have. So I'm going to add my Stampin' Seal. And I'm going to put this on the front of my card. Just make sure I have it centered on that little panel. There we go. So that part is done. And now I'm going to take my floral image, and I see that I do have a few pieces that haven't been cut yet, that didn't fall out when I put it through the die. And I'm going to take this glue again, and I'm going to just add some glue to the stem. I really like how this comes out with such a fine, it's just so fine that you don't end up with a lot of glue that's going to just hang out of the edge of the card. Okay, it's all glued up, and I am going to put this right in down to the bottom of my basic white cardstock, and I'm going to pat that down. And I was thinking, I didn't do this on the last card, but I was thinking of also putting a butterfly in that upper left corner. I think it will just add a little bit more to the card. And even with those two die cuts, there's still plenty of room to write. All right, now let's do some stamping. So I'm going to set that aside, and I'm going to get out these two pieces. I actually have 3 pieces that I'm going to be die cut, stamping tonight. I also have this label. So the first thing that I'm going to do is I am going to take my Misty Moonlight ink, and I'm going to stamp my floral image, which will be my focal point on the front of my card. So I'm just going to ink this up in Misty Moonlight ink, take one of these smaller pieces, and I'm going to stamp this right up to the top of the piece of the cardstock. There we go. Though I see that I got some edges inked up. Don't like that, but there are 2 sides to a piece of paper, which I do like. I'll just make sure I don't rock my stamp. Much better. Okay, now what I'm going to do is I just want to cover up some of that whiteness of the card, of the piece. So I'm going to stamp some speckle onto my background, but I'm going to stamp off because I don't want it to be as dark as my floral image. And I'm going to try to leave some white spots too. Perfect. All right, so then the next 2 things are our sentiments. So the first sentiment, which is going on the front of the card, is thinking of you. There we go. And the inside of the card, I'm going to have heartfelt love and caring thoughts are with you. And then I am going to take this little floral image, and I'm going to just stamp it in 3 places. If I want, I could add a little butterfly. I like that. I think I'm going to change it up just a little bit. So I'm just going to use a little bit of the glue to attach that. And we'll add that to the inside as well. All right, so these two pieces just need to be attached to these. And I'm going to add the greeting to this one. I'm going to have it go over the stems, but then come off of the center. All right, so we have those done. Now we're ready to finish putting the card together. So I'm going to add, whoops, I need to add some more adhesive. Just ran out. So one thing I do love about this adhesive, the refills, they are so easy to add. They come in a package that looks like this. You just get the adhesive out and it goes in where the different little stands are. You have the Stampin' seal on top, and this just comes right back. And now I'm ready to just put some more adhesive on. Okay, so I am going to, and I just did that incorrectly. Let me get my eraser. I didn't mean to put that much adhesive on. So we do have something called a, so I want it off this side. We do have something called an adhesive remover. And I could, if I wanted, I could just cut another piece of paper, but I don't want to do that. And I don't want this to stick down on my card in a way that I don't want it. So all I have to do is take the adhesive eraser, and it actually removes the adhesive from wherever you don't want it. And it works for all different types of adhesive, including the when the glue dries from your mono liquid glue. You can use it for that as well. So it just takes a second to get it off, and then I just pull it off the eraser itself. So it's not an eraser to get things off of, ink or pen. It's just to remove the adhesive. And I almost got it all off. You want to be careful that you remove the adhesive as it's coming off so it doesn't stick to the eraser. There we go. And now I can put this on the front of my card. Make sure, yep, that covers all the adhesive. So there's the front of the card. Now for this piece, I am going to, this is the piece I'm going to add the adhesive all over. And what I want to do is pick this up And I want to match up this because I want it to cover it. And I'm just going to put it down, make sure it is even. Press it down, and now that covers it so you don't see it at the front of the card. So you have the front, then the second front of the card, and then the inside of the card. All right, now let's just put a little bit of bling on, and we will be finished with this beautiful card. So I am using the Ombre Matte Decorative Dots, and I am going to use the color that, I'm going to use a color that's just about the shade of the Misty Moonlight. And I'm going to use the very large and the small dots and just put them here in the corner so that it kind of pulls your eye, pulls the whole card together. And that is it tonight for my Fun Fold Friday. And as you can see, another beautiful card with another fun fold. I hope you join me Sunday night for Simply Stamping Sunday, which this month we are featuring the Layering Leaves stamp set and the new 2023-2025 in colors for all the cards that we'll be doing this month. And I know some of you already purchased all of the supplies to stamp along with me. I will be posting your measurements for what you need on Sunday, and you're going to find that it's like super, super easy. And you won't have a problem at all getting ready. It will take you just a couple of minutes. So I hope you come and join me next Friday night for Fun Fold Friday. I'll have another fold. And don't forget, tomorrow I will be announcing when I'm going to do my unboxing video. I actually think UPS just dropped it off while I've been live tonight. And don't forget to say hello, tell me where you're watching from, follow my Facebook page, and if you're watching on YouTube tonight, please follow or subscribe to my channel. So I hope you have a great weekend. Good night, everybody.